physical, more physical play, whatever. Just kind of define how you feel like that can be achieved and how far off you guys are from where you want to be and so forth.
Yeah, obviously, the first 2 games, we haven't been as physical as I think we're capable of, especially up front as an offensive line. The receivers obviously too, but it's a thing I think you go through every year when the first 2 games, it's hard for everybody to get up for the first 2 games, especially they're not being big teams. But when you start to get into the meat of the schedule, which we are now, obviously, where you have Auburn, Florida State, Virginia Tech, all 3 of those games in a row. Then I'm back, North Carolina, all those games. You shouldn't have much trouble motivating guys. And what I've seen a lot here in the past, obviously the last 4 years, is when we get to Auburn and we get to Florida State, guys, whether they should be turned up for the first 2 games or not, you just notice a different mentality, and I think that's going to definitely be the way it works this week. I think that's how it is.
In a strange way, is there some benefit to the fact you're facing fellow 290-pounders, guys the same size, guys the same level?
Yeah.
As opposed to maybe these first 2 opponents were guys that kind of left you guessing, or
exactly. It has a lot to do with that. The first 2 games, obviously, teams do a lot of different things to kind of to mess with you and throw you off, and obviously, so you have to scheme up your plays a different way. So that's something when you get into the media schedule, you don't really face that when we play Auburn. They're not going to do anything different up front to throw us off. They're going to do what Auburn does best, and we're going to do what Clemson does best. We're not going to have to change anything schematically to fit what they do. So obviously that gives you advantage to be more physical when you don't have to worry about changing things throughout the week. And that's something like every week from now on should be like that. We shouldn't face a lot of teams that are doing things differently, and we shouldn't do anything differently either.
Same question every year. You play a big non-conference game, but speaking for the ACC, which hasn't had the wins the last couple of years in the bigger non-conference games, does this game matter to you guys at all in that stature?
Yeah, it's huge. I think as far as the ACC is concerned, it's always big to win a game outside of conferences, especially in the Southeastern Conference. To beat one of those teams over there and show what the ACC is capable of, especially Clemson. But again, all we really want to concentrate about is what Clemson can control, and what we can do as a team to, no matter what the ACC does, we want to be able to go outside the conference and beat really good teams, especially the defending national champions. So it's a huge game, obviously. It's especially after the way we ended things with them last year. There's a lot to be said, this week. I think that they're going to come with everything, obviously, because they're not going to lay down for anybody. They still got a long year ahead of them, and so do we. So it's definitely going to be a game that sets the tone for the season.
Do you like the fact they're coming in here? 17-game winning streak. Do you look at that as, wow, what a chance this is for us?
Yeah, it's huge. Obviously, put Clemson on the map. There's not been a lot of talk about Clemson this year. And you turn it on any kind of college football show, anything, you don't really hear anything about Clemson, which is surprising to me, because you see all the other teams that are 0-2 and they're talking all about them, but you don't hear nothing about Clemson, which is something we've become pretty used to in the past. It's not really hearing a lot of talk, but you come in here and you beat the defending national champs, the defending SEC champs, and that record, coming in here, it's a big thing to get Clemson kind of going for the year. We're trying to make a statement with this game, and hopefully that's trying to make a statement of the way we play. It's going to be every game this year, so we need to turn it up, whatever we have to do this week.
You must feel like that was one you guys kind of let slip through your fingers a year ago. Is that festered all this time?
Yeah, you look back in seasons, in the past and last year, looking back at the Auburn game, that's one of those games where like, yeah, if we just, we talk about all that, we just won the Auburn game. We could be somewhere totally different last year. There's always one game in the season that can either lift you or take you down. And I think that's the game last year that, the way it ended like that, wasn't really good for our attitudes and stuff like that. So I think obviously a big win this week is definitely going to carry on to when we start the conference next week. It's always going to, keep people positive, and I think that's something we had last year when guys kind of got pessimistic after we lost to Auburn, and but even though it was such a good game, if we had just won that game, things could have been different. So hopefully, that changes a little bit this week.
Is Coach Morris harping as much on toughness and physicality to you guys as he is in the message to us?
Oh yeah, Coach Morris is his main goal is to make sure that we know, just because we're a spread offense, that it's a physical offense, and that's something that I think we understand. I just like I said, something that we went through here, especially recently, is teams changing their schemes for us, and it kind of affects the physicality of the way we play. That's not really an excuse, it's just the truth. We haven't been as physical as we could be at the same time, but there's always room for improvement. But I think that this week is going to be a big determining factor of how it's going to be for the year. I think it's going to set the tone in every area, every position on the field.
You got like last year where a team like Auburn or you guys aren't going to change your defensive scheme all around one game.
Yeah.
So you kind of know more of what the Auburns and Florida States.
Exactly. Yeah, you run into the same kind of defense a lot with these big time teams. Plus we see it. We've in fall camp we've seen every defense possible. So I think we're prepared for everything. But at the same time, I think we look forward to a defense that sits still and says, just beat us off the ball if you want to win the game. That's something I think we all look forward to. And there's not many other ways to put it than they're just going to line up and say, if you're going to whip us, there's going to be a lot of one-on-one battles, and if we can win those, obviously it's going to be a successful day.
You look at this as a statement game, considering the momentum that could be gained or lost for those two.
Yeah, most definitely. It's a big statement, for Clemson. We haven't. These are the type games in the past that we haven't won necessarily. They've been struggle games for us. We've even got close to winning, like as in last year, or it's just not been. We haven't shown up. As Alabama 3 years ago. So it's one of those games where we make a big statement of how we're going to handle the season. And I think if you win this game, obviously it takes with a lot of momentum that you can take into Florida State and into Virginia Tech. And we're not so worried about that yet, but I think that when you beat a team like Auburn, it brings a lot of confidence to a young team that we have. And I think it's going to be huge this week.
How do you expect practice to be different this week compared to last?